Ladies and gents, Homes Rex, and this is Endless Space to Review. Jingoist Joy trademark? What? Edition by the channel ssethtzeentach. The Academy demands you pay reparation for your damage. Okay, something has to do with the game, I guess. Yeah, this is 44-minute long video. Damn. Usually, ssethtzeentach videos are about 15-20 minutes and even sometimes 10 minutes. He makes a 30-minute long video, so this game must be long because he usually fast talk, right? So his reviews are not that long. Because of that, his jokes are quick, fast. He just moves on. That's his style. So 34-minute long. So there must be many things in this game. This is a space game. I guess is how it's going to be. Is it going to be like Space Station, or is it going to be something like Mass Effect, like the 3D view? And I don't know. But Seth usually only reviews the games that are ridiculously good, right? This is, I guess, only last big video left by Seth that I haven't reacted to, right? Maybe there's some left, but they're not big, I guess. So yeah, after reacting to all the Seth video, one thing's for damn sure: Seth is way too brilliant, way too good. Because he just makes some cheap joke here and there, some puns here and there, some sensitive jokes, and just pieces all together, and yet he makes one of the best reviews ever. Like, you will not find any review on entire YouTube that is even close to Seth, right? That's how good this guy is. Because he changed some views of mine about games. I have never thought that I would love any game that are pixelated, like you move pixel, that's how the game is. And yet games like Dwarf Fortress, right, Space Station 13, all these games, I fucking love them after watching Seth's review on that. That's how good this man is. So let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reacts on the phone, like, subscribe, so on which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reacts and there's a link in the description. Check out the cast, check out the link. Yeah, let's watch it.
Hey people, Seth here. Humanity. One day, we will inevitably reach the stars. And one day, we will inevitably reach other intelligent, sentient, yet utterly alien races. We will shake their many appendages, engage in trade, exchange ideas, and even attempt diplomacy. But we all know, inevitably, how this has to end.
Okay.
Welcome to Endless Space 2. Endless Space 2 is a 4X game, which, if you're not familiar with, stands for the 4 X's: expand, explore, and exterminate all xenomorphs before they do the same to you.
Is that
probably,
a thing?
Most likely. I've played this turn-based sci-fi strategy intensely for the better part of a month, and before that, about 2 years, and I must confess, it's pretty damn good. Also, there is a story, and it is absolutely critical you understand the lore of this game. In the current job market, Endless Space historians are in extremely high demand and boast starting salaries of about 300K. Most of the Fortune 500 companies.
What? Svenska handles my. Wait a minute, that's a bank. So what a bank is asking? Endless Space to lore historian, 160 to 180 per hour.
Most of the Fortune 500 companies hire at least.
We are looking for a seasoned Endless Space 1-2 veteran to help us understand the product. Come on, what is this bullshit? Really? Yeah, the fucking developers who made this game, somebody who made the lore would be okay. $160 per hour. I'll be that. This is a joke, isn't it?
Two of them in
order
to understand.
Has read and found no enjoyment of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. This is a joke, alright.
What the fuck is going on? The story is told to you through wiki articles, the accuracy of which is questionable, because I've edited several articles and they still haven't caught me. In the universe of Endless Space 1 and 2, there is or was an incredibly advanced civilization called the Endless. What happened to the Endless? Well, there's less of them. The end. Roll credits. But no, they went to space and they developed technology. They revolutionized the galaxy by creating dust. Dust is used as money in Endless Space 2, which it isn't. It's an autonomous cloud computing network of nanomachines that get smarter as the cloud gets bigger. They're capable of self-assembly, self-autonomy, and farming crypto tokens at rates never before seen in the known galaxy. However, they developed a little too hard when they figured out how to upload your soul. So half of them went on to live as immortal machines running on the 5G network. These were known as the virtual Endless. The other half, known as the concrete Endless, considered them an abomination because it it's hard to consider a sentient laptop as intelligent life. Even harder when you find out it's still running Windows Vista. Unable to reconcile their differences, the Endless decided to end each other. The Virtuals unleashed bioweapons on the Concrete. The Concrete sent malware to their mailbox, forcing them to run 3 billion instances of Bonzi Buddy. Needless to say, they wiped each other out. The Endless came to an end. But many centuries later, other races figured out space travel, picking apart the ashes and remains of a civilization long forgotten. In the galaxy of the Endless is where our story takes place. So, what do you do in Endless Space 2? Well, you pick a spacefaring civilization and you try to win. But what is...
Yeah, this is a trend. Even the Andromeda, Massive Andromeda has some similar story, right? Where you go to a planet, there is some ancient civilization that we find ruins of. That is all, I mean, kind of makes sense when you think about it. Whenever you think about, okay, space exploration, the concept would definitely go by, okay, some civilization that is extremely advanced than you found out that civilization existed, you slowly find out their relics. It makes sense, right? Galaxy is big, why the fuck not?
Victory. Victory can be anything. Money, technology, intergalactic conquest, or even weaponizing the influence of e-girl streamers to absorb every sentient race in the galaxy. Because, as we already know, a sentient brain is still capable of falling victim to becoming a simp. The path to victory is your own free choice. The game itself is very customizable, meaning there's no reason to pick any speed except fast, any galaxy besides ovoid, and if anyone dares pick a custom race, we are all going to collectively form a non-aggression pact and hunt you down. Starting off, you only have a single planet. Your home system is very modest, and you need to rapidly scale your operations if you hope to compete with the rest. To do so, you'll need to explore, expand, and colonize new systems. Exploration is very simple. You send an exploration vessel into the great unknown and watch as it dies to pirates. Before that happens, you'll want to find as many uncolonized systems as possible. On each planet, there's a chance of finding curiosities. These are the slow, pulsing rings you see on display. To explore a curiosity, you need to send a probe. It's quite similar to the probe minigame from Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
If successful, the game will let you know, together with a small reward for finding it before anyone else. These can be anything from strategic or luxury resources, planetary anomalies, or even the start of a random quest line. The point of curiosities is to try and guess which star systems are worth colonizing. In general, any system less than 3 planets...
This game already sounds so good because it's based on what we think of space exploration to begin with. One of the Fermi paradoxes, right? Like, people basically colonizing planets after planets, rushing to colonize before anybody else does, finding resources, race towards that. This already feels... So, at least the game's concept is not that far-fetched. It falls into way too much fantasy, fictional area, right? I mean, this is kind of understandable. This feels somewhat realistic. Like, okay, sure, I can see this happening. Right? Everybody's just rushing towards colonizing and finding more and more resources.
Is garbage. Any system with only cold planets is garbage. In fact, ask enough players and you'll find that every possible star system ever formed by the laws of physics is still garbage. Colonize them anyway, because I like the animation that plays each time you do so. There's actually an animation for every type of planet, which I didn't know, because who the fuck colonizes a gas giant as their first choice of planet? It's like, where are we dropping, boys? Oh yeah, on the burning gas giant. How are we meant to walk on a gas giant? Very carefully. Anyway, I'm losing track. You choose a star system.
Alright. Look, ignoring Star Wars thing, even some Mass Effect, I guess Mass Effect 1 has, I think pretty sure it's Mass Effect 1 and not 2. It's really fucked up to see Mass Effect making this mistake. But I think in one of the Mass Effect, you can land on a gas giant. Is it a gas giant? Is it a brown dwarf? I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure it's a gas giant. Where you can land on a gas giant. There's actual land where you fight gas, and there is a dust storm going like, what the fuck? Understand colonizing a gas giant. Like, maybe you create floating stations on the gases somehow. Sure, but land... There is no land on gas giant. There is a hardcore very deep inside, but you can't reach that hardcore, and once you do, you're fucked. The temperature will be ridiculously hot, radiation and everything. Hell, if you fall into a gas giant, there will be a point where you reach and you'll just float there, because the density of gas will be equal to your body's density, so you just float there. You won't be able to go more deeper. I'm pretty sure you'd be dead before that. The temperature, radiation would kill you before that. But let's say you have some kind of space suit that, you know, stops you from all of that. You'll float there. There would be no ground where you can walk on, right? So this is kind of fucked up. Like, okay, this is one of the basic things you need to understand before talking about space at all. So anybody who makes a space game not knowing this just feels like, come on, man.
You pick a more reasonable type of planet to be the base of your colony. Most factions can't settle a system immediately. They need to form an outpost, send colony support, and convince any other players contesting the system to cease their aggressive expansionism. You can do this through liberal policies, such as stealing their food supplies, or less liberal policies, also known as an interplanetary blockade, with the sole purpose of starving them to death. Typically, this is how you greet other players. Otherwise, you blast their ships out of orbit, and you get sent a formal complaint, to which you respond accordingly. Diplomacy is an interesting concept.
We do have other things to take care of. These are diplomatic channels, not social media. Again? Are you just lonely?
Because, unlike many games of a similar nature, diplomacy is a tangible resource. In fact, everything is a resource. If you want to condense down the Endless Space 2 experience, you're going to be spending hours of your life trying to increase the 5 colors: green, orange, yellow, blue, and purple. Respectively, these are food, industry, dust, science, and influence, or FIDSI for short. These are the combined economic outputs of your systems. At the beginning, you don't have very much. You can't do very much, so you need more. A lot more. You need food to grow population. Population contributes to the economy and gives you different bonuses depending on the race of that population. But a planet's base output is pathetic, so you need to build improvements. To do that, you need industry, more production. But you can't have industry without research, and you can't have research without science. Besides unique variations, every faction follows the same unified tech tree. Supporting larger industry requires dust, a lot of dust. And if you're planning to go to war, exponentially more dust. To even make the formal declaration that you're going to erase someone off the face of the galaxy, you need influence. It is the most precious resource and represents your combined political power. The bigger your influence, the bigger your sphere of influence. This game doesn't work.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. This whole concept is fucking awesome. I already like this game. Because whenever there is some kind of a build system at all, any build system, either you build yourself or build an empire, I want an influence system in that too, right? Because let's say in any game, like Elder Scrolls Skyrim or whatever, you build yourself, right? You do certain tasks. Then you build yourself to become really powerful. And nobody acknowledges that. It's like, what's the fucking point of this, right? Stupid people still threatening you like, do you see me? I know in Skyrim there are some dialogue that certain guards make, but it's not a real influence system. This game is an influence system. So if I were to play this game, I would already become someone like that, like, you know, emperor type of mentality. Like, I must have a bigger army, I must have bigger influence, I must have bigger resources. I would just spend all my time doing that shit. This is so good. Obviously, you would need influence to threaten somebody. Like, I'm in your border with all my spaceship, you know. Surrender now or I'll obliterate you. Why? Because you know me. You know my name. You know who I am. You need influence.
On national borders. It works on raw intergalactic peer pressure. Have enough influence and you'll absorb everyone without even lifting a finger. Besides other players, there are also minor factions.
Did you know the Nigerians govern a sector of space occupied by several different humanoid species?
If we say yes, will you feed us?
One of those species is the Benkarans. They occupy just 10% of Nigerian space, but take up nearly 80% of the space in Nigerian prisons.
Maybe they commit more crimes.
These are civilizations that are advanced, yet not advanced.
Wait a minute, is that the jab to the real world issue of why certain type of, you know, why certain race of people are more in jail compared to the other? That is the real world issue. People raises this issue, like why is this the case? And the guy just said maybe they commit war crime. Really? I get it. This is that old clip from Star Trek or something. What was that? I don't even know which clip that is. But still, that's just like, maybe at the time, you know, it didn't seem weird. But now watching that clip, like, maybe that's not the dialogue you want to use.
enough to avoid a simulation. These are very diverse and can be anything from sentient jellyfish, reformed assassin droids looking for God, or even moving chunks of coral reef remotely piloted by a sentient supercomputer the size of a planet, which in itself was formed by random chance. Minor factions exist to be absorbed by other players. Why? Because you get a free system out of it and a unique racial trait. Never underestimate these, because a single good trait can win you the game. There's also pirates.
It's okay. Everybody finds me irresistible.
Pirates exist to occupy every system you ever like and reduce the overall quality of your time and space. Luckily, pirates are business-oriented.
Alright, was Han... I don't remember much from Star Wars, but was Han Solo a pirate? He wasn't a pirate, right? He was a mercenary at best. And yet, every time there is anything related to space, anything like an outlaw or pirate, they all dress up like Han Solo. I don't know why that has become such a famous thing. This is why Han Solo is literally the most famous character besides Darth Vader from Star Wars. Because everybody somehow loves him because of his outlaw type of look, I guess.
Not trouble you as long as you pay. Also, I like putting pirate marks on all of my friends' colonies. Consider it an indirect way of saying maybe you should move. Now you've got the basics down. What are you meant to do? You're meant to try and you're meant to fail. Endless Space 2 gives you freedom. Freedom to fuck up and suffer the consequences. The tech tree is subdivided into 4 distinct categories: military, economy, science, and empire. Develop your military and you get bigger guns, but you don't get the ships to mount them. You need to develop your empire for that. Then you need a military-industrial complex to facilitate the production of your armada, which forces you to tech economy, not only for developing your systems, but for supplying a constant stream of dust, because bankruptcy is not an option. For reference, one technology unlock is the difference between abject poverty and having the largest intergalactic trade company incorporated on your home system. Why stop there? Get access to the galactic commodities market as well, because it's a biological requirement for me to speculate the stock market in every game I play. Do all that and realize you neglected—
Oh my god, you have to look out for economy at this level in this game, and to do politics, to combat this has everything. Holy shit, you have to also look out for stock markets, those lines, like, okay. And if you make mistakes in there, you go bankrupt. Your whole colony goes bankrupt. This is way too complex, man. Didn't see this coming. Damn, the game is good. And it also looks— this is a newer game, right? Looks new enough.
Science, which is a problem because every single research you ever research makes every following research more expensive to research. Endless Space 2 is a great galactic scale balancing act. Every action taken is counterbalanced by the opportunity cost of every action not taken. Here's an example. Let's say you found a nice system, but you can't colonize it because each type of planet requires the respective technology to touch ground on their surface. You might spend a bunch of turns teching towards that. As a result, you get a new system. However, your lack of tech leaves you oblivious to the contents. You later find out that ideal Mediterranean planet you picked is filled with dinosaurs. The water is made of mercury, and the atmosphere gives you cancer. If you pumped everything into science and exploration, you would have found a much better system nearby. Because you explored the curiosities, you know there's plenty of strategic deposits without the risk of melanoma. Even the worst colony has great potential, given a—
So basically, don't just stumble your ass somewhere. That's not going to work if you don't have the fucking technology. And just landing there in shit. Later you realize that you fucked up. This is so good.
Development plan. Systems can compensate for deficiency using luxury. Low birth rate, spike the water with red sang. No production, use Jadonics. Do people still keep using the term war criminal in your presence? Despite the fact you've clarified multiple times that enemy civilians are indeed active combatants, bring out the hallucinogenic grapes. Given time, any problem can be solved. Given money, any problem can be solved instantaneously. I don't know exactly how we're going to terraform a planet in a single turn, but I know the next time I look, there better be a fucking jungle instead. There's a lot of ships in this game, unique to each faction. They're all fully customizable, limited only by the type and number of modules available. Primarily, you're going to use them to intimidate your enemies into submission.
How is this game looking so good? Wait a second. Damn, alright. The game is published by Sega. This game is from 2017, so recent. And it's made on a Unity engine.
and to intimidate your friends into working a little harder on their friendship. Your only control over combat is the loadout, formation, and tactics used by your military. The rest is a simulation played out by the computer, where each time a ship explodes, you know the cinematic at the end of Diablo 2 where Tyrael throws his sword at the World Stone and it explodes into a billion chunks of wood? Yeah, that's exactly how every ship explodes in this game. Combat is very simple. There's different weapons which have different accuracies depending on the range of engagement. Flat cannons shred anything up close, including long-range ballistic missiles, but they bounce off armor. Lasers cut ships in half at mid-range, while beam weaponry works at every range. Unless they have shields, you can absolutely get away with filling every slot with a flat cannon, shoot every range, unless...
Oh my god, there are black holes in this game. Oh, this thing alone, I'm gonna play this game just because of this. I want to see this view. This is fucking awesome. I don't know why I'm surprised that black holes in this game. This is a space game where you space travel.
They have shields. You can absolutely get away with filling every slot with a flat cannon, choosing the default tactics card, and still win every fight. Besides interplanetary combat, you can also directly invade. This works on the same principle, which means I'm still going to use the default tactics card, which just so happens to be preemptive orbital bombardment. Many civilians will die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Your chance of success depends entirely on whether or not you have replaced your troops with a mobile suit Gundam. If you conquer a system, you can choose to either spare the population or take a massive hit to your public approval rating by re-educating and reintegrating the native population into the fucking soil. Which is a good time and segue to talk about politics. In Endless Space 2, you have government, you have Senate, and you have an obligation.
So let me get this straight. You can actually become someone like a pure out no excuse dictator who does do heinous shit regardless of how your opinion of people is about you. Is that it? So there are many options how you can approach a game apparently.
To represent your people, which is why we have a dictatorship. Power to the masses is power to the upper classes, and any proletariat will see the wisdom of my words. Politics is all-encompassing in Endless Space 2. Any action you take, endorse, or sponsor will shift the political axis of your entire empire. As with real life, the opinions of your people are difficult to manage, their motivations difficult to guess. There's a total of 6 different party ideologies you can choose to support, each two a pair of polar opposites: religious and scientific, militarist and pacifist, ecological and industrial. On top of that, you've got your government. This controls your party representation and how much corruption you can get away with. Democracy has the widest free party representation. It is also the most corrupt, because I have no control over my elections. Republics and federations are generally more progressive, offering less representation and more opportunities to correct the result of any rigged election. Dictatorship completely removes the need for underhanded tactics and ensures that all voices are heard and represented by the single party I choose. Every political party holding office has representatives. These are not your average man. These are heroes recruited from the academy. But what is the academy? You know how I said dust is currency and dust is essentially a cloud computing nanite swarm? Now, imagine smoking it, because the Academy does exactly that. You're hiring nanite-augmented crackheads to rule your empire. These are very diverse in both race and specialization. They each have their own unique and interesting backstory, except Scales. Scales is literally a giant bat that likes to eat zucchini. How is she qualified in any way to be my senator? I don't know. But the people love her. And who am I to say?
Because she will eat all of them if they don't approve. It's a threat? I don't know.
Say no to that smile. So, what's the point of political parties? I'll tell you. It's called legislation. And legislation controls the focus of your empire. You can pass laws respective to each party you have in office. The leading political party also enacts their own automatic policy. Scientists let you research high-tech without unlocking it. Religion gives you the moral high ground to escalate a Cold War without legal consequence. Industrialism uses the economy to finance the economy by expanding the economy. How could ecology possibly compete? Well, by giving the public announcement that we don't exactly know how to live on a volcano, so let's do it anyway. Militarist rhetoric not only removes the political cost of war, it actively encourages you to go to war with absolutely everyone. And finally, the pacifists can
So there's a trend here with the ecologists, industry, everyone. Regardless of regardless of how fucked up they are, at least they are not some lazy assholes, right? They are really, hardened, real, what do you call it? Motivated assholes, right? They want to excel at whatever they want to do. At least there's that.
any time without your consent force you into a state of peace. Passing a law costs influence, depending on the size of your empire. The longer a party stays in power, the more laws you have to choose from. For example, state-enforced eugenics and mandatory sterilization of other races who aren't your own is a relatively simple law to pass with minimal political experience. Asking everyone to work overtime requires a level of finesse and eloquence only seen in the most Machiavellian of politicians. Unlike many 4X games, Endless Space 2 has quests. Most of these are faction-specific story missions with branching political options to suit your empire. They're quite interesting, they give you something to do, and most of all, they give you permanent upgrades for the rest of the game. You also have multiplayer. How do you play multiplayer? It's quite simple. You all connect to a game, you play for about 50 turns, you forget to make backups of your game, and then everyone collectively desynchronizes. Welcome to Endless Space 2 multiplayer. With all that covered, you've got a general idea of how to play Endless Space 2. Now, let's get to the fun stuff. The factions. There are currently 12 different races to choose. I'm gonna cover them all. The Sophons are a race of intellectuals. Despite this, they talk in a British accent. They're overdeveloped geckos that love science and hate personal health and safety. The less people know a technology, the faster Sophons can obtain it. If you want a fairly vanilla faction with an easy science victory, go play the Sophonidae. Conversely,
Sorry, Link. I can't give credit. Come back when you're a little, richer.
we have the Lumeris, whose entire ethos, motivation, and philosophy can be crystallized in one word: money. For the Lumeris, no problem is too great, as long as you throw piles of money at it. They also have my favorite faction leader,
Commerce, baby.
There you go.
The lifeblood of this and any other galaxy.
who is probably responsible for every single trade cartel in the known galaxy, and arguably runs more of an economic crime syndicate than a legitimate empire. But I don't care, because Big Titty Fish Mommy is going to buy the galaxy, and I'm gonna help her. If you like making obscene amounts of cash, Amphibious Mom
I don't know why I knew that's why he like it, like her. As soon as I saw that, I know why he likes her. Alright, so the first one that it talks about Sophons or whatever, those space beings or whatever they were. Obviously, they are like a Brotherhood of Steel type of thing, right? They want to obtain all the technology. The less people have the technology, they can obtain it better or something like that. It kind of makes sense. More scientifically oriented thing. This here is your, I guess, businessman faction, right? It's all about money. It's all about commerce, which can dial down to, I guess, most of the thing in the world, right? It's all about money in the end, right? So I guess this is the most, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say, common faction that people can choose, because, yeah, they do it. It's all business for them, I guess.
Mommy Milkers, or just winning the game by accident, play Lumeris. Imagine rampant over-industrialization and the fractured ecosystem that follows. Given such dire conditions, what do you think is the most reasonable course of action? You can A. Put all your resources into ecological initiatives and repair the sorry state of your planet, or B. Digitize yourself and become a gaming laptop. The Vodiani chose the second option. Even better, they made a church out of it. Belief is strength, worship is endless, and heretics are nothing but essence for the harvest. Unlike other races, the Vodiani don't colonize. They travel, they land, and then they harvest. Then we have Horatio.
Come to pry on the
So those are the scary ones, right? Vodianis or whatever he said are the beings who are more, digital type of beings who basically, to harvest everybody, because they don't colonize, they conquer the worlds, I guess, and literally harvest them. So that's an invasion type of race who invades people, I guess. That is some scary shit, like collectors from Mass Effect 2, something like that, right?
most stunning man in the galaxy again?
Originally a wealthy trillionaire, Horatio set out to find his own star system. Along the way, he also found extremely advanced cloning technology, so he made a billion copies of the most beautiful and gorgeous person to ever exist, which was of course Horatio. And then Horatio thought to himself, what better than to fill the galaxy with beauty? What better than to fill the galaxy with Horatio? Horatio is concerned with pressing matters such as air conditioning. His government, accordingly, is an eco-fascist dictatorship.
Make Horatio great again.
This is like what was in the Fallout 3. What was that vault? Gary, I guess was. I think it was Gary, right? Everybody was Gary. There were many people who are like the same or something. I don't know. Am I mixing that up? This feels nightmare like that. Everybody's Horatio or whatever his name is.
Of course, there
Horatio.
are other, less fortunate races than Horatio, but Horatio is not only handsome, he is also brilliant, and thus he finds ways to integrate minority populations by splicing their genetics with Horatio. Yes, many of your less symmetrical friends and family may simply disappear, but know that their memory will live on inside Horatio. Horatio is a classic case of careful who you call ugly in high school, because he just might use the entire galaxy as a glorified eugenics program. The United Empire can be summarized in a single clip. The United Empire is an imperialist, expansionist federation where the will of the emperor is absolute. Any construction, any technology, any luxury he so desires, the empire provides. For the emperor does not ask, he commands, and the raw influence of his voice can make the impossible into reality. If you want to play not only the most industrious faction, but also the one that generates the most influence just by being industrious, try the United Empire. Propaganda, patriotism, and the greatest of...
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. They're not just some industrialist type of, colony. They are literally an empire with everything. They are the empire with emperor and everything, armies and shit. Of course, they're gonna have influence. Right, that other faction was just businessmen who just care about money. Before that, it was just like people just care about technology and shit. That Horatio is just Horatio. What's that to say about that? And that other one that just comes and harvests, that's like some scary monster type of thing. This is literally an empire.
Military industrial complexes await you. Enlist today, service guarantees citizenship. So far, everyone I covered at least have the option of diplomacy. But what if that's just not in your nature?
What do you sound like when you scream?
The Cravers are fucking terrifying. As a leftover bioweapon made by the Virtual Endless, they only have one purpose: consume everything. Any planet with Cravers on it has a fixed life expectancy, because the Cravers will rip it, strip it, and tear it apart. And then they move on. There is no long-term plan, there is no sustainability, there is no choice but to consume you as well.
We are coming.
Trees. Do you know how fast a tree moves?
Yeah, I didn't need to know that you're coming, but... So I thought those people who harvest, those digital people, those laptop people who harvest were the horror show. Apparently not. That is much bigger threat. Somebody's like, how about diplomacy? What the fuck is a diplomacy? Come here.
Not very fast. The Unfallen are a race of trees. They speak with a Scottish accent.
Why do you pester the heart with your petty needs?
Much like the Scottish, trees are rooted to the ground. They don't do much, and their only way of winning the game is to ask you politely, do you know how they colonize other planets? They need to slowly, delicately, without interruption, entwine them with celestial vines and hope or pray that they didn't start next to Cravers. If you enjoy pressing and turn and being a vegetable, you'll enjoy playing the Unfallen. Imagine being an ostrich. Now, imagine evolving to the point where you're used as arena blood sports for the entertainment of an advanced, decadent civilization. Then that civilization gets...
That feels like a funny clip, but knowing how fucked up and how powerful ostriches can be, that was brutal. That clip right there.
Wiped out, you get your freedom and form a tribalistic society of samurai ostriches. Then you accidentally stab your katana through a giant ship, and suddenly you're a major faction. The Hisho were added with the Supremacy DLC, together with the main source of tears and salt on the Endless Space 2 forums, Behemoths. Behemoths are multi-purpose capital class ships. They can support the bureaucracy, plutocracy, or...
I mean, that seems like a joke, like, stucking a katana in ship and now you're a major faction, but that kind of works. I mean, that's the shit happens in the salt wars in the Roman times, right? In that basically they just saw the ships, right? The Romans just saw the ships. They didn't know how to make the ships, but they just saw the wreckage of ships, like, this is how you make it, and they just start to make their own fucking ship, just like that. Just that easy. I mean, that does work. If some primitive civilization who doesn't have the technology just sees the technology, they can literally scrape it down and just figure out how it works, and there you go, they have the technology now.
Theocracy. Accelerate genocide, accommodate homicide, extract resources in a remote situation, and even terraform planets for improved habitation. They can do anything. That's why they're insanely expensive and you get very few of them. But that's not why people got upset. They got upset because the Behemoth is a precursor to something a little more concerning. A planet killer is morally dubious, leaves millions of grieving survivors, and generally causes public unrest. A system killer accelerates a megaton nuclear payload directly at the sun, causing it to expand into a red supergiant as the core collapses and begins to fuse hydrogen. In a single nanosecond, all life in that solar system is gonna need some SPF 70 sunscreen. The Obliterator is a system killer which is made by upgrading a Behemoth, and prior to many updates and patches, had no effect on public relations. I found this incredibly entertaining. Because the missile actually has to travel to its destination, it often took several turns for enemy players to see the ball of light.
What the fuck? So let me get this straight. This DLC race that was added in the game, they can make this ridiculous ship that are really expensive, and upgrading them can create, let's just say, a Death Star from Star Wars, which are not many of them because they're really expensive, but people got pissed off probably because of the multiplayer, right? People play with the multiplayer and some asshole just sends the rocket and just destroys the ship and the game over. So that's kind of killing the fun. Sure, it's like a spamming thing, I can understand that, right? The fun goes away. Everything you try to achieve just obliterated like that. Understand that, but apart from multiplayer, in the game, maybe this is an X factor to this race. They are not that powerful, they are not that influenced, but maybe since they have this, that's make them a threat, right? And if they attack frequent like that, maybe all they need to do is patch the frequency of how much you can attack with this kind of a star killer. Can other races acquire this technology too? Because I would definitely acquire that if I were to play this game. And in multiplayer it could be annoying, but single player, I don't know. If you can reduce the frequency, and obviously like he said, you can't just buy these ships left and right because it's really expensive. I don't see this as such a bad thing, right? It's like a Star Wars element added to this. Star killer, why the fuck not? And I'm pretty sure by the diplomacy and commerce, you can probably, buy this ship or make this ship somehow, even if you're not the same race, right? Those katana people. I don't know. I hope you can buy it. But for the lore's sake, maybe this equalizes their race. Maybe they are not powerful influence, but because of this, people fear them or something. I don't know.
Quickly approaching their home system. At this point, you will notice something. The chat functionality, inside which you will see a stream of colorful messages calling you a number of racial slurs, after which the player will mysteriously disconnect and add you as a friend on Steam, even after numerous...
What? I don't know why. I can already see as soon as Seth saw that, like, okay, with this race you can buy a star killer that could kill everything, and I just know that there was a pause there with Seth, and I'm like, I'd like to thank the developers for this glorious gift. I can already see him doing that. Like, this is what I need. And just his trolling begins after that. Just fucking bomb everything.
nerfs, the Hisho stand tall. For the Hisho, combat isn't just about winning, it's about honor, which they call Kai because they're a race of weeaboo samurai chickens. The more honorable your actions, the more Kai you generate, the more obedient your empire. And if it ever falls too low, just remember, Aztec blood sacrifices are a great way of gaining popularity. Vaulters are the DLC race designed to completely invalidate the Sophons, because for Vaulters, location is no issue. We've got portals for that. Disconnected system with no clear star lane? Even better. The typical Vaulter player will usually fuck off to the four corners of a galaxy and quietly win a science victory before we can even find them. Also, their mothership, the Argosy, can be used as a two-way portal. I very much enjoy parking outside an enemy system, warping in my obliterator, and cooking them instantaneously. The Riftborn are Tetris blocks from another universe, which is currently overrun with super aids. In a last act of desperation, the Riftborn entered our universe. To them, it's a dystopian reality filled with all manner of squirming, wriggling creatures that piss and shit everywhere. From their perspective, they just took a one-way ticket to hell. However, they don't judge. They just want to survive. Unlike us, Riftborn aren't born, they're made in the construction queue. Otherwise, they work a lot like us, except in reverse. Terrestrial planet, I sleep.
Why is that the case with everything? Some ancient, powerful civilization that is way above us primitives. Way above us primitives in technology, mindset and everything, who are just as zen and transcendent as they can be, are fucking machines. Like somebody made it. Who made them? Well, there's always this case like, okay, only machines can be this. Like, even in Mass Effect, Reapers are machines. What the fuck is with the machines, man? Why can't an organic be... I mean, you can have an organic species that can live forever and who are this transcendent because they've been there forever since the start of the universe or something like that. You could have something like that, but they have to be always machines. Like, come on, man.
Degree lava planet with no trace of life? Real shit. Colonize immediately. Hey, it's a race of abstract geometric polygons. Give them a break. Luckily, they can also break reality by compressing or dilating the flow of time. And if you've ever been to a college fraternity, you'll have no problem pronouncing their names. The second last DLC, Penumbra, introduced a controversial mechanic: hacking. It's a nice way to grab intel, sabotage enemy systems, and of course, accidentally turn a craver government into a pacifist dictatorship. With that, they also added the Umbral Choir. The Umbral Choir.
That is a good DLC if that is one. That's a feature that is really good. You have this global world with, there are wars, there are diplomacies, right? Economy, you have to look for fucking everything. Why not hacking? Cyber, everything cyber related, cyber crime, espionage, right? I mean, that could be, you know, one colony doing espionage with another one by cyber warfare. That's a real thing in real world, so why wouldn't it be in the game? This is awesome.
Is an immaterial, intergalactic wraith with good intentions. Like a ghost in the machine, the Umbral Choir spreads by hacking absolutely everything. Every transmission is tapped, every system is compromised, and we have no trace of who did it, because the Umbral Choir doesn't want to be found. How do you fight something you can't see? How do you stop something that's already inside the wire? And if it's already inside the wire, then how do you know it isn't inside you already? Honestly, they're extremely fun to play, especially when your friends mouse over a system and ask why half of their GDP keeps disappearing into the Craver Pension Fund. Finally, it's a good time to talk about the last DLC, Awakening, which adds the Nakalim, a fairly interesting religious faction that I personally enjoyed, but also adds the Academy as a separate AI-controlled faction. Now, let me tell you why that's a problem, because the leader of the Academy, bear with me, I don't know how to pronounce his name, because Isandir takes territory, which he doesn't need, away from players. He can also enter your territory, destroy your fleets, and siege your planets. But Lord forbid you manage to sink one of Isandir's ships, which, by the way, are stronger than any other faction. That's an act of aggression, and he's going to ask you to pay reparations. Small side note, if you're getting harassed and abused by Isandir...
What? He comes to my fucking place, fucks with me, and if I attack, that's an act of aggression, give me my money. Man, talking about ego. Man, this is just bullshit. Like, it's me. Of course, I can take anything that I fucking want. But how could you attack me? I need reparations. You hurt me emotionally too. Give me reparations. The fuck you talking about, man? So I guess they just added an OP as fuck race, right? With everything powerful, academy, you know, at their core, right? So academy, if I remember correctly, him talking about that these are the people who just ingest and fucking just put dust into their system, dust being that nanite that makes them a super soldier. This is the whole fucking colony now, right? Academy. So they are OP as fuck. And they can literally take over other people's system, and if you attack, that's an act of aggression. I guess it's one of those diplomatic type of threatening thing, right? Like, give me reparation, otherwise I'll kill you, that kind of thing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate that either. That is one that feels like a game-breaking thing. Not game-breaking thing, that feels like a ridiculously annoying thing. But that what makes it fun too. A race that you have to fear. You have to, I guess, try to find a way to be better than them somehow if you get fucked by them, right? I mean, this game has literally everything. From, you know, Xenos, the alien races that can literally harvest you, attack you. There are businessmen, there are cybernetic people, and now this OP shit, those star killers. Way too many races in this with the DLCs and everything, and I don't hate one of them because that's what adds complexity. It doesn't matter how OP they are. I mean, maybe if you play a game and just there is no way to do anything about them, that could get annoying. But I'm pretty sure you can find a way. This is fun to do, right? After sinking hours and hours into this game, you'll be really feel, you know, really good to accomplish something like, you know, fucking them up, Academy. Like, okay, you're OP, there you go.
And you want him to stop? You can't. Until you discover the location of the academy, you can't even do diplomacy. Now, let's say you forgive all that. You're open-minded, and you're wondering...
Wait a minute. You can only do diplomacy if you find a location of the academy. You can do exterminatus if you have enough fleet and power with you.
What's the point of a new academy?
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Every 10 turns, Isendir will ask for your most generous financial contribution to the Academy. The highest contributions will get their preferred position within the Academy. After another 10 turns,
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Also, he's been expertly programmed to forget any positive relations you had before, which may surprise you, since he'll go back to neutral and start attacking you. Better pay up, because you can't contribute to the academy until you've paid reparations. If you try to take his home system, he'll demand you give it back and pay reparations. Who the fuck made this shit? Oh right, it's not even the same studio. They outsourced this.
I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all! Yeah!
All the other DLC up until Penumbra, fantastic.
I still don't hate it. I still don't. This is hilarious as shit. So they are the annoying people. Annoying, powerful people who you just have fun fucking them up. You'd feel really good, right? Like, you know, holy shit, I just fucked up the academy, and he just bitching, give me back. Give me the present. Man, fuck you.
Love it. Awakening is about $13 you can spend to make the game worse.
That's like nothing.
That even if I got it for free, I'd still ask for a refund. We could talk hours about strategy.
You mean DLCs for that? I'm like, game is for that? That's like nothing.
Yeah! All the other DLC up until Penumbra, fantastic. Love it. Awakening is about $13.
Oh, okay. The DLC is $13. I'm like, what the fuck? Game is that cheap? How did Seth did that? Right? Seth asked them to lower the price that much? But no. Okay, $13, I don't know, but yeah.
You can spend to make the game worse. It's such garbage that even if I got it for free, I'd still ask for a refund. We could talk hours about strategy, metagame, and the eternal question we always return to. Is Endless Space 2 balanced? No, it is not. There are many mods to try and fix this.
The world is not balanced, man. The real world you live in is not balanced. What you talking about? This is literally real world space game. It has everything from economy to war, diplomacy, hacking, cyber, everything, right? You can be pirates and all that. God knows how many things you can do in this game. Real world is not balanced. So, of course, it's not balanced. It's good that it's not balanced. It's going to be fun like that. If everything's balanced, it's just like, what the fuck?
But ultimately, part of what makes this game so interesting is the element of randomness, forcing you to adapt and overcome the circumstances.
That's the best thing.
Of your ability. There's many
Balance
players out there
that.
who will constantly demand you remake the game, citing that they don't have an optimal 5-planet system adjacent to them and can't possibly compete. If you don't, they disconnect. The equivalent of this is being born on planet Earth to a middle-class family and immediately committing suicide to try and re-roll for better RNG, because
like, that's what I said, the real world is not fair and balanced. What you talking about?
If I can't be born as the son of a wealthy Middle Eastern sheikh, I may as well not be born. Endless Space 2 is a wonderfully designed and beautifully made game with such a level of pace and intrigue that I actually bought a legal copy. I've played it for 2 years and I still keep coming back. It satisfies every tick box I ever wanted for a civilization game in space. It's enjoyable and relaxing both in single player and in multiplayer. You're probably going to desynchronize before anyone actually gets angry. I like the music and I enjoy.
That's it. Look, man, I'm just gonna say, I didn't have a game list to play game list ever, right? Until I started to react to Seth. Now way too many games to play. This is also part of it now. Kenzie, one of the best fucking game ever that I reacted to, you know, yesterday, second time, because first time apparently I missed all of that. Obviously Dwarf Fortress, you know, Space Station 13, RimWorld, then Factorio. Holy shit, how good that game is. And now Endless Space 2. How many games are going to be in my list now?
Enjoy amphibious mommy milkers. I give Endless Space 2 an extremely high score. I am also issuing a public fatwa against anyone responsible for the Awakening DLC. This time, there is no discount because my inside man had a talk with Sega. Their formal response: fuck off. So I recommend waiting for a sale, buying on discount.
Yeah, this is Sega. Yeah, I'm ssethtzeentach and I want you to, you know, make a discount. Sets what? What the fuck is a ssethtzeentach? YouTube? Never heard of YouTube. Get the fuck out of here. But seriously, man, this is such a good game. I see them not giving discount, right? Already, because this is made on the Unity engine. This is a newer game. All this DLC, all the effort they put into making this game. I don't see this, you know, just going to sell like that. I mean, they need to make money, for fuck's sake, for all the effort they put into this.
Discount or using other. And had a talk with Sega. Their formal response: fuck off. So I recommend waiting for a sale, buying on discount, or using other legal methods of purchase that I am not yet aware of. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. I'm sorry for all the delays. Streaming really put me back. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild, generously funded.
He says, I'm sorry for the delay after giving this kind of a perfection review of a half an hour review of this. Man, this guy is so good. Man, I love this so much. I mean, the Highflit video that he uploaded just a few weeks ago was just incredible. Next time, I mean, since I started to, you know, react to ssethtzeentach, he hasn't uploaded a new video. But as soon as this, you know, the notification bar lights up, like, oh, ssethtzeentach uploaded a new video, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I'm gonna have some look on my face that I've never had before, because this channel is untouchable. I love this, every single part of this. He's just getting better every year. And Endless Space 2, another game on my list now. I never had a list, but now I have a list, right? This game is way too good. Everything, I mean, this is the game that every major developers in the world should, I mean, every developer in the world is going for the sandbox open world element to it, right? Every developers are doing that shit now. Like, open world is a must now, right? And now they're going more for sandbox area too. Not focusing too much on the story, but all the things you can do in the world. And games like this can definitely give them the idea, like, what should you look for? Because this has everything, like everything you can ask for. This is Endless Space 2, so how was 1? If is 2 better than the 1, I guess they're improving. So Endless Space 3, I can't even imagine what they're going to do with that one. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards, check out the cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.